One. All right, welcome to Talking Investing. We should be live. I'm Tom.
And I am troubled.
And George is troubled.
I am really troubled. I don't know if I feel like a bear or a bull.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for being first.
Hey, Jeff. I'm telling you, this is going to get interesting.
Oh, I think
You know
it's
that?
already got interesting.
No. Does anybody think anything's going up right now? Does anybody really? No, seriously, do you?
I think Bitcoin's going to go to the moon.
No, besides Bitcoin. I'm talking about the market. The stock market. I'm just scared.
No, yeah, everything. I mean, today was another bad day. So this week is breaking the pattern because the beginning of the week for the last 5 weeks in a row, we've pumped a little bit, and then Thursday was bad, and Friday's been a disaster. But today, we just skipped all that and went straight to disaster on Monday.
Oh. Sorry, I'm really happy overall, but I'm sad when I see this.
Happy as a person, but
Sad, right? You know what I mean.
sad to look at the stock market. Well, down 2% again on the NASDAQ. I mean, the NASDAQ is getting destroyed, and so is the Russell. And the
I'm
thing
sorry.
is,
I called this, just so everybody knows.
you did, and in your opinion, we are not close to done. I believe. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, I don't think we're close to done. And here's the other thing. It's like now, even if it hangs out here, let's just say, for an example, for some odd reason, which I don't think it will, I think it will hang out here for a little while, and then we'll have a big spike. You know, we'll have a little ups and downs, up and down, but I don't know if it can hang on until November. I mean, this is all now posturing for the election. You agree or disagree?
No, it's an election year, so in an election year, everything's about the election. But
like the war is about the election. COVID.
It's a long way until November. I mean,
hello. Is that Save CDC? Does that mean Save Canada? What does CDC stand for? I don't know.
A nasty day. Yes,
it was.
Agreed.
We're just complaining.
Today
I had a really good lunch though. That was good.
Yeah, new lunch for George.
We knew that. I mean, the question is how much lower does it go, the market? That's the question. And Tom, give me your analysis that you were saying.
I mean, we're in. Just go back to our little chart here. So this is the NASDAQ. And it looks like November 22nd was the high. So we're down 22% in the NASDAQ. So that's a bear market right now.
So we've been going from a bear to a bull, or a bear to a
we've been in a massive bull market since March of 2020. And then we peaked in November, we went sideways a little, and then since from late November to January, that's pretty much sideways. But 2022, I mean, the funny thing is we all thought 2021 was bad. But this is 2022 right here.
Where was the crash in what was that, 2020?
This was
that crash?
Yeah, but this is worse than it looks. That's 29, so almost 30%. And that was in, well, this is saying a month, but it wasn't a month. So that correction was bigger and faster than this correction. But that wasn't a correction, that was chaos.
So do you see where that is right there at the peak right before it crashed in 2020?
Right here.
Go right there. Yeah.
Yes.
What is that number there?
That is, that's down a long way. That's 9,700.
That's where we're going.
Well,
That's where we're going.
that would be another 25% pullback. I gotta turn my phone off.
25%? That's me, sorry. Is that the ladies?
That was, of all things, that was my mother who never calls me.
So
I'm sure
that's
she's
where
watching the live stream. I'm sure that's.
I'm telling you, we're going to right around that area, because everything since that has been fake. It's all fake. Everything since that day is fake.
That means that's a overall over 40% pullback. That's more than a bear market. That's a nightmare. We've had worse, but that's a nightmare.
If I had to give you my opinion, that's what I'm giving you, because I'm thinking, and I'm not saying this is happening next week or the week after, but let's be honest. What good has happened since that correction in the world? You got COVID that shut down everything, correct?
Correct.
I mean, name the economic growth that we've had. EV vehicles? EV vehicles? You know what I mean? I mean, nothing has really...
we've had growth in tech big time, but
That's the number.
a lot of these, some of the big companies are still minting money, but they're trading at multiples that
Don't make sense.
They don't make sense. Just because they're making money doesn't mean they get to just go up to infinity. And that's what was happening. So here's the two.
Beyond.
Here's this. So this is the NASDAQ, so that's not fair. The dot-com bubble was like the biggest crash in the history of everything, and that's this. So that's almost 84%. The NASDAQ. It took the NASDAQ a decade to get back to where it was. I think more than a decade. Let's see.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the NASDAQ has not remained the same since then. It's different companies, correct?
Yeah, because half the companies that were in the NASDAQ here on this day don't exist anymore because they were dot-com companies. So it took, I'll even give them, we'll round down and say it took 15 years to get back to where they were at the dot. So that's the worst bubble ever by a mile. But the next one, this was a really bad one.
What, the 2008?
The 2008 financial crisis. Yeah, I mean, that was over 50%. So your prediction of 40% is not crazy talk. Sevi, I think it's Sevi, is saying, I truly believe we are very close to a bottom. We should see the SPY close to 5,500 in the next 12 to 15 months. So you think we're going to...
But here's the question. Why do you believe we're at a bottom? That's what I want to know. What is your reasoning for the bottom? I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm not saying that. I just need to know, what are your indicators? Because everything I'm seeing, when you start choking out an economy when you have inflation like this, you're not going to be setting things on fire. And yeah, I know people in the United States are still are buying houses, but even that's out of control. We just tried to order trusses, and they're what was it, a year?
Yeah, a year out, which is insanity.
Now, I like that, Weston. Big price movement lies around 44. Oh, the Elliott wave. Here's the problem with an Elliott wave, and here's the problem with waves in general. Do you know what a tsunami is? Everybody knows what a tsunami is, right? Well, when a tsunami hits, right before the tsunami hits, it's completely calm. There's no waves, and then bam, it hits.
Proverbial calm before the storm.
Yeah, it is. It's like the calm before the storm.
It's what you really got to worry about is a mega tsunami. Look it up. I can't even
Yeah.
talk about it.
I don't. I don't need to look it up because I won't be here then. There's another thing about a mega tsunami that takes out all of Florida, basically all the way up to. Does it take out Atlanta too?
Oh, all the way to the middle of the continental United States.
Yeah, and the same in Europe too, right?
Well, they won't get it like we will, although they'll get massive shock waves. We're literally going to get, I mean, not that this is going to happen. We're talking about the potential for a mega tsunami, which is something that may never happen or may happen 10,000 years from now. But there's a volcano in the Canary Islands, I think, that if it slides into the water, it's going to
Lampu.
cause a wave that's basically just going to wash out the eastern
know
half
what's-
of the U.S.
I don't know what's sadder, that Tom is telling you this, or I know the name of the island. Only reason why is because I paid attention to it for a long time.
None of this is financial or life advice, so please do
No,
not do anything.
No, but this
based on-
is life advice because, I mean, I'm thinking this whole, I hate to say Meet Kevin was wrong. He ain't wrong. He picked the right year to get out. You know that?
Well, it might. See, the thing is, you always might be right when you do something like that, but
Right.
it still doesn't make it the right thing to do, in my
No,
opinion.
because, right. I mean, you still have inflation and you're losing money. Like, I look at that, when you have money in the bank, I lost 8%, you know what I mean? Negative, inflation. So I had $100, now I have $92.
Right. If you just keep it, but that's better than if you had put it in the stock market. This is the first time we just looked. There's these kinds of dips do happen, but they're pretty rare.
Right, and on the opposite side of it, you kill it. I mean, look at what happened since 2008.
Made some good bank off of. Is that the EV company? Did you short it or buy puts? Let me make sure I'm thinking about the right company. Yeah,
I don't want to.
They got crushed today.
I don't want to miss Jeff's comment. Can you lay some wisdom on me in regarding selling ITM leaps puts? I don't understand that, so please.
Where is that?
It's way up there, way up on top. It's like the fourth comment.
Selling in the money leap puts. So if you're bullish on something, if you for let's say Bitcoin, you could sell Bitfarms for me. That's something I'm bullish on. Whatever you pick, whatever you want. So if you're selling an in the money leap, you can make a lot of money on that, but the danger is that you've got to hold it. Leaps are typically, somewhere in the neighborhood of a year or many years. A lot of people call 6 months out leaps, but really it's, 1 year out or 2 years out. So you get a lot of money and you get it up front, but you run the risk if that stock crashes, then, you're holding the bag. So if you bought a leap, if you sold a leap in the money and then maybe bought one out of the money further down, so you won't make as much money, but at least you'll mitigate potential losses unless you have total confidence in the stock. I mean, there's a lot of these stocks that I think we all feel like we don't know what's going to happen for the next 90 days, but we feel pretty good about the next 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. So that's a risk. But if you feel good about a stock and it works out, it's free money because you can still hold the stock.
I just looked up. I didn't know what the Elliott wave was, and I'm reading it now about it. And I agree with that. That's actually probably more in line with the way I think than anything. Is that the theory is that there's a wave, that and I think it's thought, by the way. Well, a thought process. and that as people, believe a certain thing's going to happen. The reason why that Elliott wave doesn't apply anymore is because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, there's more money from the federal government put into the stock market or the Federal Reserve System than ever before in the existence of the stock market.
Yes, and they, they've said they're going to stop that.
Right.
I don't know that we believe them or not. That's a different story, but they have said they're going to stop. They're going to slow down and stop.
Which, who knows if that's true or not. So with the Elliott wave, it's basically using emotions that make decisions for a company, and everybody gets hot on something and it pushes. It's almost like a pump and dump in not that sense, but in the theory it is. When you agree, you know what I'm saying?
I think we know what you're saying.
Called the perfect bottom.
So I just want to respond to Jeff. He's saying, I've been looking at selling January 24 leap puts in CleanSpark at the $15 strike point. So the $15 strike point, even though my price target by January 24 is, quadruple that or more, that's way in the money. So, you got to decide if you're comfortable. You got to calculate your downside. If something happens and that goes to zero, you got to cover it all the way down to zero.
And I was going to give you another reason why I don't like any type of predictions from past. Here's another one. Is because we're changing our monetary system. Nobody can deny that. That's why we're here to talk about Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin. And that Elliott wave does not have anything in there coming. I believe that there is such a thing as a great reset. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad if you know what's going to happen. But I mean, we are changing our monetary policies, and they have to change. They just have to.
Well, some of them are going to change whether we want them to or not.
Right.
Because we just simply can't keep doing what we're doing.
No, and at some point in time, well, Tom explains it better than me, but these big money rotate into one stock, into one sector, and then rotate out. And they've been doing this for years and years and years. This is their strategy. So they're taking their push, for an example, tech, and all the tech stocks will go up. And then they're moving to EVs, and then all the tech stocks will go down. So they make money going up, and they make money going down. And that's, when you have a controllable, when you have enough of an influence on the market that you can make these Elliott waves happen, that's our problem. Is I don't think that those things are taken into consideration when you have that type of one person being able to, push the Elliott wave, so to speak. Maybe it's more traditional than I realize, and that the Elliott wave is the way to go. I don't know. I'm a newbie at this.
I think it depends on whether you're looking at the big picture, and I think we were kind of talking big picture. Because if you look at a specific stock, that's not necessarily going to work. And I'm pulling up an example. This is Wolf.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So, enjoy that ride.
That's a wave.
So, and what I really want to show you, like, all this looks like the bad part, but what I'm talking about is down 65% one week, and literally the next week up 137%. So this is a small cap company, and that's what big money can do to a small cap company. I mean, if you're caught in the middle of this nonsense, now if you catch this wave, that's gold. But if you're caught in the middle of it, and and that's why this is the perfect graph why you do not panic sell. And you can see, look at where the most people sold, right here in this candle at the low, which is exactly what happens. This is when the most See that? This is the volume down here. That's the biggest line of volume is at the very bottom. And then the biggest line of volume on the way up is at the very top. So people sold low and they bought high. Like, this is a microcosm of what happens in the market to retail investors. This all, because it's a small cap, this all happened in 2 weeks. But like, that's the story. That's the sob story of the stock market if you're not careful and if you don't have the stomach to hold at lows in the stocks that you believe in. So you got to know your stocks and have conviction in your stocks, because if you're just trading because everybody piled into something and you're just following the wave, then, you know, you're going to be the first one out and you're going to sell low. You guys know this. But it's worth reminding yourself on a regular basis, because let me tell you, this day right here probably felt pretty bad. It probably felt like it was time to sell, but you can't do it.
You can't.
You can't do it. I mean, if Jeff, to answer your question, if you secure that with cash, I mean, you'll have quantified and covered your potential losses, but I mean, there's still a potential loss. I mean, I don't want to. That's a trade you got to decide on your own. I think it's a good trade, but it's also a high risk trade. So
can you explain
this is
that
not
trade?
Financial advice.
Can you explain the trade again?
He's talking about selling an in the money leap option. So a leap option is just an option that's long term. So, you know, options can end at the end of the week. A leap option is usually 1 year or 2 years out. So he's talking about 2 years out, selling an in the money put, which means he believes that 2 years from now. Let me pull up Cleanspark and we'll just use this as an example. So Cleanspark's down at $9.55, but you can see in November it was at $23. So this green line is the $15 line, and that's for the purposes of this example, we'll use the one that Jeff is talking about. So he's talking about selling a put right here. That means by the time January 2024 comes around, so, you know, close to 2 years from now, Cleanspark needs to be above this line. If Cleanspark is 1 penny above this line, he gets to keep all the money he got when he sold these leap options. So
all of it?
Right. You sell them and you keep it. So it's your money. But, and, you know,
that Friday at 4 o'clock, well, really 4:30. And
by then, in all likelihood, but this is what you hate to say. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. And I mean, most of the people on this stream probably think Cleanspark's going to be more at 30 or 40 or 50 or $60. So it doesn't feel like a big risk to be selling $15 options. But the thing is, so in this space with massive volatility is the only place you could consider it. Typically, I mean, the stock has to go up 63% between now and then to keep your money. But the thing is, I think probably all of us believe that's highly likely. So, you know, it just depends on what you believe. And if you were to do this with like a blue chip stock, you'd be in big, big trouble, because those aren't going to go up 63% in 2 years by and large. But here in this sector where everything's oversold beyond belief and highly volatile, you know, but those are the ones you got to have stomach for. Matthew's asking Hive or Hut. Oh, brutal. I'll give you one of the reasons that is brutal. I averaged in on 3 things today: Hive, Hut, and Bitfarms.
You did more Bitfarms?
I don't care. If they're going to give them away, I'm buying them. So those are the 3.
They're giving them away.
Those are the 3 I averaged in on. Today the biggest purchase I made was in Hut. So because it was down 7% today for no reason, and let me show you Hut's chart, and I'll just show you what my line of reasoning was. I have a line here. This is their line of support. Like $4.57. That was January 24th. That's when Bitcoin went down to $33,000. This line of support, I mean, if you took it backwards, it goes all the way back to July. So to me, this is their local low. So they hit that today. Now they could go down. They've been as low as this red line. So there's still downside potential. You know, and that's a lot of 30%, but that's to a number I don't think it's ever going to again. I mean, this was back even in the September Bitcoin bear market. This thing was at $7.69, so it's at $4.63 right now. I'm averaging in on that. If it just goes back to, you know, this is that's a month ago. That's an 80% increase. So to me, that's my potential upside, in my opinion. We saw the downside. If things crash, we could go down here. If not, we go up here. So Hut is a great buy. But Hive is not much different than that. Hive is also a great buy. Here, let's just do that one too. So it's not quite down to its line, but you can see like it's where it got. February 24th was another low for Bitcoin. That's when it got to about 34,000. So, you know, we're almost right there. So Hive is that's why these are two of the three things I bought today. So you've got, in this case, you got 46% upside to get back to where it was a month ago. So Hut has a lot more upside just to get, Hut's been more volatile than Hive lately. But these are both in, you know, I bought them today, so I can't argue against that. Yeah, when everything is negative, it's hard to see a rally coming, but you know, like somebody said earlier in the chat, you know, and by April of 2020, it would have been pretty hard to imagine that the next 6 months were going to be one of the best runs in the history of the stock market. But that's what happened. Ouch to my Neo shares. Gregory, sorry. I don't know. I don't know where that thing is going. If you remember, like, and it's been a while now, but Neo was maybe, like, it was rivaling Tesla for the most talked about, popular stock amongst retail investors, among YouTubers. You know, there were hundreds and hundreds of videos. Neo 100, Neo 200, Neo 300. And unfortunately, a lot of world events have shifted. I don't think it's really even Neo's fault. I think the world shifted under their feet and their stock is paying for it. And I don't know how low it's going to go. Yeah, under $10 is something you would have never dreamed. Neo under $10. But that's on the table now. I think it was in the 14s today. Am I right? Let me... $14.10 this thing closed at. It's absolutely unbelievable. So, and, you know, an awful lot of people invested in Neo. That's my sister's favorite company, so for whatever that's worth. And she likes their cars, and I like their business model. I like the battery swap thing. I think they got a good thing going, but you know, obviously this investment has not worked out so far. Yes, Jeff, that's exactly right. You got to cover those all the way potentially down to zero. So that's the scary part. You know, none of us think that's where CleanSpark is going, right? Odds are better than not that it's not even going to be close and you're not even going to be sweating it out. But you know what? You just never know. Bitfarms bought another location today. Very nice. I think this is all a part of a strategy to get out of they were in close proximity to a lot of people, and there was a lot of complaints about the noise and et cetera, et cetera. So they're moving further away from people and to greener energy. So I like all the things that Bitfarms is doing, which is why I added to my position today. I hold no Bitcoin. I play the Bitcoin miners, which is a leveraged play on Bitcoin. You know, if Bitcoin crashes, and I don't think it's going, you know, George thinks it's going to, I don't think it's going to. If Bitcoin somehow saw $20,000, then I would buy some Bitcoin. But I think unless something changes, to me, the Bitcoin miners, although they've been frustratingly underperforming for a while now, ultimately, you know, from a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year picture, I think these are going to be great stocks. And if you look at Riot and Marathon, you know, even though those are down so dramatically from their highs, if you look at them from a 1.5-year investment picture, they've 20x'd. So, you know, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking at. I think that there's plenty of room left to the upside. The sky's the limit. Sebi says Chinese stocks scare me, and you're not alone. And it's not an unreasonable fear. It's not, you know, this is not. It's just about the geopolitical situation that exists right now. So nothing personal, but the Chinese stocks traded in the U.S. do have downward pressure on them due to, you know, foreign relations. Investigation on the ETH chain. What, do you know anything more about that? If you can elaborate. I'm not aware of that. So I guess the EU is voting tomorrow on whether to put restrictions on proof of work cryptocurrencies. Anybody here from the EU? Mark, you added Hut, Bitfarms, Riot, and Cores. Yep. Listen, today was a great buying opportunity. I did not add to my Riot, and they were down nicely. And I didn't add to my Cores either. I just want to let things shake out with Cores. I sold my options before their expiration, or their, you know, they prematurely let their lockup period end. I held the stock, and that's where I'm leaving that one for now. But I do think Cores should go to multiples higher than it is right now.
Sorry. Work comes first. Paying the bills.
All work and no play.
Do you hold any BTC itself or GBTC?
See, it's so funny because you know what I would consider buying if it happened, and this is, you're gonna laugh at me, but when there's an ETF, I might buy that. And even as I sit here logically, I think I'm better off buying a couple of Bitcoin and putting them in cold storage. But
my question is, do you buy Bitcoin or do you mine? That's the one I've been struggling with.
Well, most people, that option is not on the table. But yeah, that's the third option, is you actually buy Bitcoin miners and mine the Bitcoin. But you have got to do that at scale to make it work. You know, it doesn't have to be 100,000 Bitcoin miners, but it can't be 10. 10's just not, 10's not going to yield any. You're better off, in my opinion, you're better off putting it in, especially, you're better off putting it in the Bitcoin miners, in my opinion, especially since they are so drastically oversold right now. Again, that is my opinion, so you guys may or may not agree with that, but I think that the miners are priced ridiculously.
Hey, buddy. FBI investigates on ETH chain. There's a big story about ETH. I ain't getting into it, but it's not a very good story. I'm not going to talk about it.
Who
It's
is,
an interesting story.
but one you are not willing to share?
Nope. It's a real interesting story. I am not a fan of ETH, by the way.
Not a fan.
I wish I was. I'm not a fan of ETH.
Well, I don't know. I've heard a lot of ETH hype, although it's died down the last few months. But man, at the end of 2021, people were talking ETH to 15,000. I mean, that was the most hyped thing. Get out of Bitcoin, get into Ethereum. Ethereum's going to be bigger than Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. You don't hear that as much right now, but who knows? You never know.
I mean, who changes? And why do they change? Why do they change from proof of stake to proof of work?
So far, nobody changes. Ethereum is supposed to change to proof of stake, and it's a lot more energy efficient. Proof of work requires energy, and that's the knock on it, and that's why the EU is voting on whether to ban, mining of proof of work. But the thing is, Bitcoin is proof of work, and you guys probably already know, newsflash, it's not changing, ever. So they can ban.
Are you saying about that? About ETH is not changing?
No, I'm saying Bitcoin's not changing. I don't think ETH is changing either, despite the fact that it's commonly accepted that that's eventually going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll take this opportunity right now to say we are going to be talking to Frank Holmes, the chairman of the board of Hive. And Hive, he shares that belief that Ethereum will not be moving over to proof of stake. So hopefully that's one of the things I will talk to him about I think we're doing that interview in 2 days. So everybody, please watch that interview. Thank you.
Does he mines and then he flips into BTC, right?
No.
Oh.
Hut 8 mines it, but they accept payment in Bitcoin. Hive mines it, and they hodl their Ethereum, and they mine Bitcoin and they keep that, and they mine Ethereum and they keep their Ethereum. So
So they could be the largest holder of Ethereum in the miners.
Oh, they are. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think so. Uh-oh, we got a miner. I mine Ethereum. What's CXB? Is that hint? Is it HNT? That's that hint? How is that one working out for you, by the way? We looked into that. That scared me, by the way, when we actually dug into it. And I'm like, Tom, you know what they're setting up, right? That one scares me.
Well, he's made 100% return on investment in 7 months. That's
wow.
Pretty hard to argue with.
Wow.
And,
no, that's a different guy, but yeah.
Oh. And the thing is, you might have made a more than 100% return on investment because, unless you sold. But if you held, then,
Well, I think the break even has to be less than a year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Has to be less than a year.
You got to make sure you're getting into the machines at a price where it's not taking you
and they're
20
not
months
and it's taking like 20 months right now. You know what I mean?
Holy cow, we got somebody else mining everything.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But that's the HNT, is that hint? Is that what it was called, hint? That we were looking at, where they set up those miners all over the place?
I don't...
Remember that?
I don't remember who that was, though. Was that them?
I think that's their symbol, yeah. HNT. It was like, if you want to get into mining, try this. And supposedly, they're like, they have those Bobcat machines.
I don't know. I gotta look them up. I'm not sure if that's them. You remember, though?
I don't know if that's their symbol or not. If you could let me know, I'd be appreciative. Yeah, helium. That's what it's called, helium.
Helium.
That one scared me. You want to know why it scared me?
Big just went into helium. Yeah. That one.
How did somebody big go into? You mean, would they buy it? They bought the coin?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh,
putting
hang.
one of those things. That's those things you put on your house, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And they're supposed to piggyback. They're supposed to piggyback all over the place and yada yada. I think they're grabbing financial transactions from credit card machines, personally.
the thing that when we looked at that, and we did do a pretty deep dive on that, if you're in a well-populated area, that is a concept that could work. If you're not, we looked at the map. There were places where it was 50 miles to the next, beacon. So it's like you're out in that scenario. But if you're in, a big city, that could be huge. Hey Rob, welcome.
So wait, we missed. I don't know if you answered that. Did you answer about your Somebody's talking about your ESG, green miners. Did you hear what Mr.
Oh,
You're gonna tell people about what you're gonna do with Fink?
Mr. I did hear exactly what he had to say. I'm very riled up about it, and I'm gonna do a video on that. And yeah, he referenced the owner of BlackRock as one of his lines of reasoning. So I grabbed the letter that the owner of BlackRock sent to his investors, and I'm going to put that in the video too, because I think that Mr. Wonderful is either, let's just say I agree to disagree strenuously with his conclusions. I think what he said makes very little sense. And so if you don't know what we're talking about, basically he came on and said the Bitcoin miners, I think he used the word garbage. They're dirty and they're garbage. And he named Marathon and Riot in specific. There was one other he named, and I don't want to say it because I don't want to misquote him, but I know Marathon and Riot, he specifically said, are dirty stocks that are garbage. So I'm going to have to disagree with that statement.
Garbage.
That's not only a harsh statement, it's ridiculous.
Well, what does that mean, garbage?
He said they're garbage stocks.
Does that mean that don't buy them or don't sell them?
I'm pretty sure garbage stock means don't buy.
So he's beating them up so he can get in more? And then didn't you say he got into a company?
Yeah, you could see his agenda. He has an investment in a company that's going to use nuclear power. So now, of course, everything that's not nuclear is going to be garbage in his opinion, because that's where he's invested his money. Although I will tell you, I know he was invested in all the Canadian miners, and he did not specifically address that. So I'd like to see if he still holds those investments.
Did you see that one?
What?
That's a good question. Should be one of your questions. Jedi.
Oh, to Frank?
Yeah.
I intend to ask him that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's...
You can fry an egg on his bald head. I think he's going to be at the Bitcoin conference. He's usually there, by the way.
O'Leary?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, he's so... For him to come on and say what he said is so contradictory to everything he's ever said. You know, he went from investing in every North American miner to calling a few out as garbage and just lumping them all together. So he needs to clarify that statement. I feel like I should do a video inviting him for debate, because he needs to account for what he has said. Right now I'm going to debate it without him. So I'm going to show you exactly what he said. There's a short clip. He did an interview with Meet Kevin. It's a very short clip of what specifically I'm talking about. So I want to go through that. I want to go through the Fink letter, which is the CEO of BlackRock, which is the largest, investment company in the world by a mile. And you guys can see what you think.
Are you going to compare that to other industries or no?
Yeah, this is the thing. Why is this the only industry on Earth? it is entirely possible that Bitcoin mining, as a percentage, is the cleanest industry in the world. But yet everybody's obsessed with them being clean. Like, nobody's obsessed with the banks being clean, right? Their carbon footprint way exceeds Bitcoin's. Nobody's obsessed with any, name an industry. Nobody cares. No, I never
Car
heard a
making.
conversation. Yeah,
How about battery making? Making a battery.
making a
You know how much?
battery.
Oh, you know how
You
much
tell
energy that
'em.
thing sucks? That thing. Oh my God. We were talking about this as making a battery. Is it? First of all, one, it's bad for the environment. So we're taking something that supposedly we say is good for the environment, but in making it, it's bad for the environment because you got to heat up. You got to use a ton of energy to make these batteries. A ton. And then you got the waste, and no one's even talking about the waste. And I believe it's a hazardous waste at the end, and there's only certain places that will take them. So now you're creating a hazardous substance that needs to be put away in a chamber for the rest of its life, and it can't ever be. And what happens when it leaks into the water? No one talks about that. I mean, these are all real scenarios that I'm playing out. That's why I'm not big on EV. And by the other way, it doesn't work. EV doesn't work over time.
The thing is, it's like, yeah, but
Unless we get nuclear.
Everybody, this is the only industry, and somebody created this FUD, and everybody is running with it, and they use it to their advantage. I guarantee you all these, well, I can't guarantee you, but I believe all these guys, as they're sitting there trashing it, and we've seen several examples of this play out, where they're trashing the miners as dirty, and meanwhile they're buying and buying and buying the miners and Bitcoin. And see,
oh, you missed our whole beginning. You missed the whole beginning. Sorry, go on.
That's all right. I just wanted to respond to Jedi Knight. I thought that Hive was the third one he threw under the bus. You're saying there was even more. At first he mentioned a bunch, but then after that he specifically threw 3 of them directly under the bus, saying these are garbage. And I know it was Marathon and Riot, and it might have been Hive, might have been the third one, but he did mention Hut 8 earlier, you know, and then he didn't clarify. You can't just throw their name out there and not clarify. I mean, I know he owns a lot of their stock, unless he's just sold it all.
They're so cheap. I know they're so cheap. Either I'm going to be really happy or really sad. I'm an investor from Bombay Rock. Where's that? Do you know where that is? I like saying Bombay.
I do not.
I am from Bombay. I don't know where Bombay Rock is. Is that India? I'm going with India.
Could
Are you going with India? Bombay is India.
I'm not willing to make a guess at this time. I think that the person who said that can tell us.
I can't eat chicken anymore, guys. No chicken. Chicken George cannot eat chicken. Isn't that insane?
It's your all-time favorite thing, and now you're off of chicken, I know.
I like breasts. What can I say? Chicken breasts are good.
Eric is saying the miners are so cheap right now. Wow, I mean, I totally agree. It just... These short-term things, I would say it baffles me, but this is how the market works. Like, things are overbought, then they're oversold, and then just when you think they're at the bottom, it gets worse. And then it all flips around. So, this is a buy and hold situation for me. I will wait this out, because unless Bitcoin fails, which I do not believe, you know, anything's possible, but that's not my investment thesis. So there was no reason to sell these, and like today I bought more. So yeah, that's funny. Eric's saying O'Leary is Mr. Green, then he buys Chinese stocks like Baba apparently today. Yeah, what he said. He needs to come back and take back what he said. or further elaborate, because it was totally hypocritical. Jury's saying, yeah, I thought we were at the bottom last week. Me too. I thought we were at the bottom on January 24th. Then I thought we were at the bottom on February 24th. And we are just, but if you look at this, this orange line right here was where Bitcoin was when the market closed before the weekend. So on Friday. So if you look at what happened, it quickly moved up, and we are just literally just absolutely sideways. I mean, you couldn't be more sideways. But here's what's aggravating. This was the close on Friday. So where was the close today? Here. So Bitcoin was up 1.3% since the last time it traded. So why were all the Bitcoin miners down drastically? It makes no sense. They traded in an inverse relationship to Bitcoin today. And that happens sometimes. It's, you know, especially over the weekend, people forget, like, this is where these stocks left off, right here. Bitcoin could do, you know, could go up and down all weekend, but you've got to compare it to this point. This was the last time these stocks were traded. So are they worth more or less than the last time they were traded? And if Bitcoin went up and these stocks are a play on Bitcoin, then they should be worth more. And
I think if they didn't think it was going to hold, that's why.
I guess. I mean, obviously, sentiment was extremely negative. The market was negative today, so part of that is they got dragged down with the market. Right, the NASDAQ and the Russell were down over 2%, so that was a beat down. But, I mean, look, some of these stocks got destroyed. HUT is down 7%. Riot's down 6.5%. Bit Digital is at $2.82. I mean, I don't ever remember it being at that. I think that's its all-time low. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what the heck is... See, I said I wasn't going to trade this one, but man, I didn't know it was going to $2.82. That's wild. So these stocks got pummeled today. UK came out and said cryptocurrency cannot be ignored. It's here and has to be acknowledged, said Rob. Yeah, Rob, I'm wondering, they have that vote tomorrow. What's going on? I don't know if you know about that. Rob, are you in the UK?
Worldwide. Talking investing is worldwide. People from Bombay rock. Did he say where Bombay was or no?
No.
Oh, no,
he had to go eat chicken.
He went to, I'll be right back. I'm going to eat chicken. Butter chicken.
Butter chicken.
I can't believe he bought Chinese stock. Isn't that insane?
Do you think any is done now because of their fraud deal with New Miner?
Mm-hmm. We think any was done before.
I've been a strong sell on any for the last $7 or $8 downward. It's shockingly low. Where is that? It's in the $1.58. I mean, but you know, I wouldn't buy it. It's at let's put it this way: it's at $1.58, and I still won't buy that. Bit Digital, they're funky, but at $2.82, that's getting real interesting. Any, I'm staying away from. I don't know.
I'm wondering.
Go ahead.
If $1.58 is worth the risk to gamble.
That's the thing. I don't know. They still haven't merged. They got a pending merger with Griffin, which seems like it's never going to happen. And
so if that merger happens, would you be now? Answer me this time. How many Bitcoin have they mined?
Any has never mined any Bitcoin ever.
0.
Yes.
So remember that, guys. And didn't they do something else before this?
Oh, so let me just interrupt for 1 second. Jury is saying, Germany here, the EU rejected the new proposal. It needs to be voted but it will be rejected. Okay, so the vote is procedural at this point. It sounds like they already know they got enough votes to reject it. Yeah, because that would be a poor decision on their part. They're just cutting themselves out of, a major piece of the world's financial infrastructure if they do that.
Oh, so they didn't do anything to it?
Well, the vote, I think he's saying the vote's tomorrow, but they've, informally, they know they've got enough votes to reject the proposal. Rob's saying I got a notification from Binance. I've looked at Teladoc. I was looking at Eric Brown is asking, Teladoc has great numbers at this price. Have you looked at them? I looked at them today, and I have a Kathy Woods list that I kind of follow along. Her stocks have been just destroyed, and Teladoc is one of them. It's.
Do you think any of hers are going to come through, or do you think they're still just picking on her?
I think that they're picking on her. I think so.
It's a man's world.
I think a lot of those are good stocks. What's their ticker? TDOC? Yeah. Yeah, they're at $50. Here's my issue with them in this market, because this should be a steal. I mean, these guys, their 52 weeks high is $206, but I think they were higher than that. Right? If I go... Obviously, it must have been outside of the 52-week window, but I don't think that was their all-time high. Oh, we gotta do a lot of this. Look at this. Look at that.
What's that? What company is that? Teladoc?
Yeah. So this was at $308 1 year ago. Just a few weeks more than 1 year ago. And now it's at $50. So it's very, very tempting. My problem in this market is I'm looking at market caps. It's still an $8 billion market cap. Now, it should be. It should be more than that. But at $8 billion, I'm just going to do, they got some quick information here. Here's the stocks that are getting punished, and they're not done punishing them yet, I believe, is the problem. So, they're more than 3 times sales. That's not bad at all. That's very low. But their problem is they lost money this year. They plan on losing money this next coming year and the year after that. So all the companies that are doing that are getting destroyed right now, and I don't know where the bottom is. It's already lower than it belongs, but how much lower is it going to go? How do I know? Like, I thought of it this way. If you would have told me Teladoc was going to be at $50 at any point, this is just back in November. It was $135. It was up to $150. So what's to stop it from going to $25? Right, these things, this stock's in a free fall, and some other stocks are in a free fall. Thanks, Jeff. But there's no more room left for them to free fall. They've fallen now down to the point where they have more cash, net cash on their balance sheet than their market cap. So those are the stocks where if they haven't bottomed out, they're very close. This stock, they could just beat it down. They could beat it down to 25. It would still be a $4 billion market cap stock. So this is where it's hard. I mean, again, if you're willing to buy and hold this for 5 years, I have no doubt. Like, this stock does not belong at $50, but I just don't know if it's going to go to 25 first.
Dogs are barking.
Thanks, I appreciate it, Jeff. It was very kind.
Well, that's it for me. Can you got anything else, brother?
No.
Recap Bitcoin before we call it.
Yeah, let's go to
See where the pain is.
me get off the daily
The
chart.
pain.
Yeah, zoom in. So again, this was the close on Friday. So we're right here. Funny, we're kind of we hit that here and here, but I mean, we're trading in such a tiny range right now. This is crazy. We did have this little scare, but even this was only down to 37,600. You know, there's a kind of a line of support just below that. So
see, remember the one good thing you told me about Bitcoin? Do you remember
the
at
one
lunch?
good thing?
The one good thing of like current events with what's going on right now. About how there's no circulation.
Oh yeah, it's at an all-time, the number of Bitcoin on chain is at an all-time low. I mean, they keep taking Bitcoin off the market and there's less and less of it. There's only like 2 million Bitcoin available, and at some point this irrational behavior that's going on, at some point it's just a matter of a waiting game, in my opinion, right? Because it's still not even $1 trillion asset, so it still can be manipulated to some extent, but eventually these things will catch up to themselves, in my opinion. And everything, demand is going up, supply is going down. I mean, this is the oldest equation in the book. So it's just a matter, and for me, I'm just waiting for it. Eric's saying, take a look at the book value of Teladoc.
That was my wife, just so you guys know.
I mean,
hey, it's good props. It's good.
Yeah,
You know I'm normal.
It's trading at less than book value, so... Yeah, I mean, on Teladoc, that's... I agree. If I did a much deeper dive, maybe I'd be willing to hang on to this for 5 years. But I do think this is one you're going to have to hang on to for a couple of years anyway for it to get where it's going. It's trading at less than book value, way less than enterprise value. And it's at $50. It was a $300 stock. So I'm not saying it might be a great investment. I'm just scared of it because there's room left to keep beating it up. And that's what it seems like everybody wants to do right now. So, for instance, I'm invested in Arrow, and Teladoc may be a better company than Arrow, but the thing is, Arrow's market cap's down to $41 million. They have $77 million in the bank and no debt. So, there is no room left to beat this company up. That's it. They're down to $1.13. Could they trade, down to $1, I guess? But, they can't get cut in half from here. They're already trading way under their cash. Forget their book value, the cash they have in the bank, and their cash burn rate is very minimal. So companies like this that have been beaten, and this is down a full 90%. And although Teladoc is down drastically, it's not in that 90% yet. But it is. Let's just do the math real quick because this has been a beatdown. It's down to almost 83%. So that's a massive, massive pullback. Oh, I didn't even notice the after hours. Yeah. I try not to pay attention. Too many times I get excited about what's going on after hours, and then the market opens and it all disappears. Jeff saying, yeah, eventually the institutions are going to push, and I think they're already privately, quietly, everybody's quietly accumulating slowly, but at some point, it's all going to be out in the open. And yeah, I expect Bitcoin to spiral up at some point. But, I thought that a year ago, and here we still are. So
I think the end is near for price manipulation on Bitcoin, personally.
George says the end is near, and George is the skeptic on more so than myself anyway, on Bitcoin. And I'm usually a fairly skeptical person when I look at investments, but I just every indicator, if you watch anybody talk about this, no, you can't really point to anything that's negative. They got this false narrative about you know, it needs to get greener. Well, it's already very green, and they will continue to improve on that. So if that's all they got, that's not stopping it. You need
all right,
to
I
wrap
gotta
it up?
go. I gotta clean my car.
All right, go clean your car. Thank you, everybody, very much. Thanks, Jeff. And
Thanks, Jeff.
thanks for watching, everybody, the videos. And again, Wednesday, I will be talking to Frank Holmes, so I would appreciate it if everybody watched that one. Hopefully I got...
And if you have any questions, join the Discord, and Tom will, if they're good ones, Tom will use them.
Yeah, give me suggestions. Well, I already got a good one on here, so...
Yeah, really.
All right.
See you.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night.